2025.
I'll second.
Okay. Motion passes. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those against? Okay. Ayes have it. All right, old business. Is this going all the way down?
Mhm.
Yeah,
That's for you.
Pass it down.
That's for you.
Oh. Oh, I got you. Okay. All right. Do we have anything for old business?
old business. I think the only thing maybe is what's the status on Lakeville's water?
We sent a letter to their attorney, outlining our position and requesting a revised bill based on the water usage report that the chief sent to town, and we have not heard back yet.
Okay. Oh, come prepared. And then I think another old business was that the bond was secured. You might know a little bit more detail on the bond.
I don't, Dalton is working with Scott Peck, to work on the land and stuff that we're potentially gonna purchase.
One thing I did do with the bond money, since they're not being utilized right now, instead of just having them sitting at First Source Bank making no interest, I did transfer the $1 million to Trust Indiana, and we're making approximately like 4.4% on the money, which is a win for us because the bond we secured was only 3.2 interest rate. So we're actually making money on the month, on that $1 million, and that'll help alleviate some of the interest. So
Nice. Good job. You guys have any questions on that? No? Mike, any questions?
No.
No?
I think that makes great sense.
mhm.
All right. Moving on to new business. We have the 2026 budget.
I have copies of these on my desk. I just can't get to them. They look like this. Mhm. That's good. Yes, so if anyone wants to see the budgets, we have copies. Pass them down to them. So just to explain the sheet to you, you'll see that what our 2025 projected budget was for appropriations. We split it down by the different funds. So you'll have the general fund, the fire territory fund, and then it just keeps going back to like fire equipment, the debts. And then the 2025 spent for January to June with our percentages used. So that's kind of then where the board bases where the 2026 budget should, be projected. Did you copy that?
I see the cemetery dollar figure went down a little bit from 25. We haven't spent nearly what was appropriated for 25, but I do know that the cemeteries need a lot of attention
They do.
and repair.
They
So
do.
maybe for next year, that could be a goal, is to get,
That's one of our goals. In fact, actually, even this fall, we're trying to get one of the trees cut down
Right.
in this Lakeville cemetery because it's gonna take out gravestones. One thing to note is your rainy day fund has no appropriations for 26, and so that was left open because we have to do the capital improvement plan. I know that the chief had talked to us last week at the fire territory meeting that there are some building repairs that need to be done. So I don't know if we want to put them in the rainy day. If you want to put them in rainy day rather than trying to put them in capital improvement plan, that might be easier, just appropriate it. Because we have, I think, $11,000 for heating unit. We have to replace a heating unit for $11,000. We have eaves troughs on the south side of the building here that need to be replaced. We also have a water line on this outer wall that's been leaking. I did have Todd Jacobs look at it. He said it's gonna be very extensive repair. You have to dig into the wall to fix.
Is it best to take it from the rainy day fund, or is it best to transfer it from the rainy day fund in light of Senate Bill 1 and everything else coming down the line, that they want your excess monies to be earmarked for a project?
That's kind of why we left the rainy day fund just open. Because if we can show them in the capital improvement plan, Steve Alton was saying then when you have that capital improvement plan of all your excess monies, in use, then the state cannot come in and take the 30% for the road infrastructures.
On the eave troughs, what's behind that? Because they've been repaired a couple different times. Is that 1x or is it 2x?
Might be a bigger job than what it.
Sure, I'm just looking at if you want to do it, let's do it right. Yeah.
Well, I think the biggest thing is that between the rainy day fund and the state wanting all your excess funds to be dedicated to something, they don't want to see townships having
Sure.
extra money sitting around. And we really don't want to give up extra money, that's cushion. But it gives us an opportunity, like you say, that could be expensive to fix, we don't know, but there is money available. And I think it should be repaired and should be repaired properly. So I think this is an opportunity to earmark dollars for that job. Then if it comes up short, that's great.
Mhm.
So I see we're in the negative with perf.
Okay, so to explain that, we just did a total amount for benefits because we didn't know how much was gonna be going since it was our first year with employees. So we put $105,000 for employee benefits. And then just so we could track how much we're spending for each, we put perf. So it's gonna show a negative and health insurance is gonna show a negative when you look at the balance sheets. But we've only spent $28,000.
Okay,
Well,
out of the
probably a little bit
100.
more. I'm going off to June. Let's see. So it's not technically in a negative, it's just it's pulling from that 105,000 that you had set aside for employee benefits.
Okay. Now what about, is that support equipment? That we're in the negative?
Yes,
And then medical supply.
as I was explaining to the chief the other day was that, we have $255,850 still left in our fire territory fund. what the State Board of Accounts looks at the end of the year is that those funds are not in the negatives. So as long as the little brackets, you know, for personal services, supplies and other services, even if they fall into negatives, it's the whole number they're looking at.
Right.
So we aren't real concerned right now because projecting payroll and some of his other purchases, we'll probably take them out of equipment fund. And we'll probably also use some of the township funds, that we had set aside for fire and EMS.
The third portion of the budget was approved last week. We're basically discussing the first page, which is the general fund.
Did you both sign that?
So really notwithstanding, we're just discussing the first page of all this and the very last page. Yeah,
Well, you're gonna, I mean, you still have to, as the township board, approve the territory.
right, but
As
the
an
territory
overall.
approved the budget for the territory last week. at
Right,
their
but
meeting,
they,
so
since they already approved it, it's just kind of
it kind of runs
stamping
through,
it.
right.
One thing,
You're
I guess-
bringing the community up to light.
exactly. One thing, I mean, to put a note, and I'm trying to figure out what page that's on, but our township assistance fund, keeps growing. When I first, in the first year that I was in as trustee, I mean, we were lucky if we spent $7,000. For some reason, with the water bills that have went up this year, we've gotten abundance of people, that the town has, you know, told them that we're here to assist them. So when they come over, then they realize that we have this service, which, I mean, we do, but we're helping alleviate the stress of water. I did a breakdown that we've spent almost $12,000 this year just in township assistance. So we do have to take some of our general funds and put into the assistance fund this year. And then I broke it down that the percentages are,
Yeah, I was wondering if they had how much township?
right, so 81.1% assistance is for town. And then 18.9 is for township. And of course, the people that come in for township, from the township for assistance are mainly, rent. You know, like if they're renting from, you know, someone out in the township, or electric. Their electric bills are a little bit higher because, you know, they have bigger homes, so. We've spent,
We're supporting
spent,
the town.
correct. So we've spent $2,194.59 in township assistance, and in the town, we've spent $9,408.07. One of the townships was like a burial for 500, you know.
But then the town wants to throw rocks at us.
I mean, that's a state mandated thing, but, you know, we have to provide the township assistance, so,
Correct, I totally understand.
yeah.
And our lawyer messed up our budget. Or not our budget, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
our contract for our territory that you had nothing to do with.
Yes, I do think we do need to,
It was written by Pete Augustino, but
I totally.
but if you
I
want my
was cheating.
opinion,
I
it was up, so I actually think it's fine.
But you got blamed.
Well, you know, at least
And I thought.
they
that's-
blame me for something that was decent. Usually I get blamed for things that
But
aren't.
that's wrong. I mean, they should get their facts straight before they start opening their eye hole.
Do we need to wait after the next meeting make a motion to approve this?
Yes, this is just a
This is a
hearing.
first
Okay,
reading.
This is
Just
just
first
to inform the public that this is the budget that they're proposing.
So if they're done, you can close the first reading and
So you
then we'll move on to the next.
okay. Any more questions? Seeing none, moving on. Truck replacement. So actually, I want to say a few things, because we're talking about the truck, that,
Okay,
The
well,
truck.
before we go into truck replacement, I need to clarify, that, one, we did just sell the Suburban. And I looked back on how the Suburban was purchased. There's been statements made by former members of the fire department that are no longer on the department, that that was purchased by Lakeville Inc. It was not. It was purchased out of township rainy day funds. So basically what it was rainy day transferred monies over into the fire equipment replacement fund. So in essence, it was still township monies.
Correct, but I noticed in that meeting last night, that was one of the questions that were brought up, because it said Lakeville Volunteer Fire Territory on that Suburban.
Mhm.
The way I took it, they wanted some of that money from us.
Well, I don't know, but
Well,
just.
it doesn't matter how the trucks are labeled, right?
I
So
totally
the township,
understand that.
the township and the town both provide, to the extent they have them, vehicles to the territory. You label it under the territory, but however the title is,
That's
that's
how
who
it
pays for it,
Correct.
that's who gets the money when it's sold, that's who replaces it, et cetera.
Lakeville Volunteer Fire Department Inc. did not buy that. I went with
Mhm.
Bob Fights over to Napanee, and the township purchased it.
Yes,
Correct.
Come back here. Lakeville Inc. had nothing to do with the purchase of the Suburban.
so, but that's just to clarify for the record. I mean, I looked that up, that's factual. I mean, I can
Right.
show that to taxpayers if they wanna see that.
Right, because, just because in the meeting last night, that was brought up. That way it's all clear.
But the other thing that I do wanna know is that when I received those monies in, I did not put them just back into township. I put them back into the fire territory's equipment replacement fund, okay? And with that being said, when we did replace the Suburban, we again did not buy that out of fire territory monies. We bought that out of capital outlays, township monies, and our fire landfill monies. Fire landfill monies are not territory monies. That is an agreement that we made probably back in the early 1980s, 90s.
Yes, 80s.
That we would get a certain percentage of the landfill tips. Those monies are directed solely to the township. So that is how the new truck was purchased. And it is written on the title that it was purchased with township monies.
okay.
So that will go into, I just needed to clarify that because I know, there's just been a lot of disagreement and yet they don't come in and question us. And we had a fire territory meeting last week that those questions could have been asked and they would have been answered, but people just assume, that they know. And I'm just clarifying for the record.
Because they'll watch this later.
Yes, because I know they probably are watching it and they do need to know the fact.
Well, and that may kind of bother me, because there's two people on that board that is on the fire territory board. And then they turned around and they wanted to go after the chief to answer questions. Well, the chief shouldn't have to, because they're already on the board. They should know the answers to that. That's why they're on the board.
I would welcome anyone. We videotape. I mean, as of
Correct.
July 1st, everyone has to
But-
videotape. So I welcome anyone, and I actually have business cards after the meeting, if you'd like, QR codes right to our Facebook page and to our website. Right from there, you can watch these live streamed. I mean, we are being very transparent when it comes. We want the community to know what we are doing in these meetings, okay? I also would encourage people that they need to watch the Town of Lakeville's meetings.
Or
Because
attend them.
That's what I'm saying. In their meeting, there's two people on that board. They should have known them answers. They shouldn't have had the chief come to their meeting. And I wouldn't have went if I was chief at this point in time, I wouldn't have went either, because it was like a lynching mob,
Those are
the way I
all,
took it.
that's a very good statement, and I think that is something you can ask them at the next town meeting.
I don't belong to the town. I live in township, so, but that's two people
But
that is on the
But it's
board.
part of the territory
The
fire.
territory board,
Absolutely.
they should know them answers. They shouldn't be doing what they're doing. That's just my opinion.
I understand.
Oh, is there another thing I do need to clarify for the record? Is that former trustees gave me all the previous titles, and we do have a town resident who seems to think that I have changed all the titles to Union Township because they should be titled in Union Lakeville Fire Territory. Every one of these titles dated from 2001, Union Township, 2005, Union Township, 2006, Union Township, 2012, Union Township, 2019, Union Township, and 2025, of course, would be Union Township because Union Township bought the truck. So that's when they were dated. That was before me. I became trustee January 1st of 2023. So I think, again, people need to be very cautious when they just want to assume the facts and they want to go and tell people that that Union Township's trying to control the fire department. Because as our lawyer would say, we are the governing unit.
Who's he?
Our lawyer would be Marcel. We are the governing
Providing
unit, the providing unit. So we will hold title on it. Now, that doesn't mean that the territory does not have some possession with this, okay? I mean, if we were to dissolve, then the things that were purchased in the territory would be dissolved.
Correct.
But we do not have a bank account that is for Union Lakeville Fire Territory. It is Union Township. That is how it has always been. Even when some of these people that speak at the town were board members and were the ones that were even part of buying these vehicles. So apparently they didn't understand when they were board members how a territory worked. So, I mean, it's not that I'm trying, it's not that, it's more of a personal attack, yes, because they want to say that I'm just trying to control everything. And no, it's not controlling everything. It's just protecting the whole entity as one, the territory, but also protecting the township. So.
If they really want to get down to the nitty gritty, the town is in the township.
Exactly. So.
The key and takeaway is that the town provides 13% of the funds for the territory, 14% of the dollars that the territory has to spend, and the pays the balance.
It was.
And the representation is 50% on the board, 2 board members from town, 2 board members from township. In addition to that, there's 3,600 residents in Union Township, not including the 475 in the town of Lakeville, something like that, 500. So, of course, the township's gonna have the bigger share.
So, okay, back to the truck.
So going back to replacement, you guys had the discussion of replacing vehicles at the territory.
The way I understand it, Andy's not here.
He's right there.
Oh, there he is. Darn it. Andy wants to speak on it.
It was presented in the territory board meeting last week that I thought it would be a good idea if we look at slimming down the fleet. Some of the trucks we just don't use. We don't have the manpower to run them, and we are essentially just paying maintenance costs on them. I had a scheduling conflict last night with my kids' sports, so I could not attend the board meeting over there, but they were all emailed a general plan of what we wanted to do. There is also a fire department down south around Monticello somewhere that was desperate to buy that engine. So I offered to make that connection there. But going forth, what I had hoped to do was to take the 2 tankers that we currently operate, one that has been a constant source of maintenance issues all year, and replace those with a new truck, sell the engine also, and turn those monies into buying a new tanker to replace what we have out here.
Okay, so part of the issue last night was the whole lease and all of this that we apparently have with this truck.
There's no lease.
Yeah, I don't know, why would there be a lease?
That's what they said.
There is no lease. There's zero. Our chief would have it drawn up. There is no lease.
Right, so what happens is the units provide the equipment that they've got to the territory because they're members of it, right?
Right.
So the town had a truck apparently, and they provided their truck, and the township had multiple trucks and they provided their trucks. So the town and township are both part of the territory. They'd be leasing from themselves essentially. It doesn't, so I would be shocked if there's a lease. I've never seen a lease.
I've
Kelly and
not
I
seen
looked,
one.
we
There
didn't
is no
find a
lease.
lease. But once again, there's no point in being a lease because once again, they all have representation on the board. They all run the territory. So there's no lease.
Okay, so with that being said, they made the comment that if it is not usable, then you couldn't sell it because then it's deemed pretty much absolutely worthless, is what they said.
Right.
So wait a second though, so this truck that they are referring to is owned by the town?
As I understand it.
Yes, they hold title on it, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so with that being said, who's paying for the maintenance on this?
Well, the territory.
The territory does.
Okay, well then, how much of it, how is that? Like, so is it,
Well, the territory pays maintenance on all of the vehicles that are in the station that were given to the territory for use. If the chief deems the equipment no longer of use to the territory, then we can give it back to the town and they can do with it whatever they want. They can keep it, they can sell it, they can put it in parades. Doesn't really matter to us. I mean, it's theirs. If they would like to sell it and put town money in and buy a new vehicle that's of use to the territory, they could do that and give it to the chief. We can't force them, they don't have to.
right?
Or they can keep it.
They can keep it. Like I said, they use it for parades.
That's fine. That's what they want. Let them do it.
I don't think he knows what anybody wants. At this point, I feel like it's whatever side is usually then the opposite is done, so.
Well, when we sold our township truck, the yellow truck, we put the monies back into the territory for replacement. So I guess that would be a question I would need to ask is, do I need to take those monies out of the territory and put back into township funds? Since they were purchased originally with township, because I just
Well, if we're gonna
assumed
buy a new
that
truck, I
we
mean,
put it back
if
in.
we're gonna buy a new truck, it's just essentially it's the township using those funds from the old truck to buy a new township truck that the territory is gonna use.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can shift the money, but you've got a clear chain of how it went. It's township money that's being used to buy a new township truck.
Okay,
It
So,
seems
and
like,
that's not enough. We're gonna have to put additional money in.
correct.
So,
it seems like to me, that truck is like a pawn to them. And I just give them the pawn, let them have it. Be done with it. It
once
seems like
again,
every town board meeting and our meetings, it seems like that's brought up.
so once again, that's up to the chief. If the
Right.
chief doesn't
Sure.
think it's of use
I'm just-
anymore, then he can
I'm
let
just
them
taxpayer,
know.
voice my opinion.
You can correct me, Ryan, because I don't think I was part of your email chain when you first addressed the territory board. You were just asking about replacements. You weren't asking anything about selling.
When we were first trying to get a territory meeting put together, I was asked what the agenda for the meeting was. And my response was, and it was all an email chain, was about the replacement of the town-owned truck. So if the town wants to replace that truck with a newer, more modern truck, because it's 25 years old, now. It's a 2001. So it will be 25,
I think,
huh?
2002.
Okay, so it's 24 years old. With a new vehicle being 3 years in the making, it's gonna be 27, 28 years old. Not to say that it's unusable, because as long as it passes all the maintenance and so on and inspections, it's usable, but the department has evolved in the last 25 years to where it doesn't serve the function that it was built for 25 years ago for us here.
And would you agree with that?
It's in fantastic shape.
It would make somebody a good truck if they used it as it was designed to be used.
And like I said, there is a department down around Monticello that it would be a massive upgrade to their fleet. And they were very interested when they stopped here one day.
Now, my opinion, if the town doesn't want to replace it, then so be it. If they want to sell it and take it away from the fleet, the township can, if the township decides or the fire chief decides he wants to sell 2 tankers and buy a different combination vehicle or whatever he deems necessary that would fit our needs better, then the township can buy it and it'll be owned by the township then. And that's fine. But I don't see the benefit of maintaining a vehicle that's not used.
I agree
It
with you
just makes no
100%.
sense. So-
It makes no
So
sense.
if we don't need it, let's have the town do with it what they want. If they wish to replace it, then we can talk about what would be the best option to replace it with, what the need would be to replace that piece.
Well,
That's my take on it.
my take is if we don't need it and it's not going to be, I mean, if it doesn't suit our needs, then I don't see why we have to keep it. Give it back. Let them do with what they want. But that being said, and they keep the monies from that,
And that's fine.
That's fine.
that's fine, but it's also, we're paying for water. So I have a little bit of an issue with that as well.
I understand and I respect that opinion, but that's another thought for.
No, I'm not saying
down the
one,
road.
but my thing is at the same time too, they need to be a part of it. You can't sit there and point fingers and complain that you bring no resolution to the table. You bring arguments, and I'm over that.
No,
So if they're
I-
gonna take the truck and do whatever they want with it, then we're gonna put it on the record that that's on them. Because at the end of the day, we have all come here with the same goal in mind, which is to serve everyone in Union Township, regardless if you live in the city limits or not. I don't care. I just want everyone to get along and stop having to watch videos where fingers are being pointed. And I have no problem having discussions on camera, off camera. I don't care anymore. At the end of the day, they want their truck. Take it. Go. But then don't complain when you don't have a say, because you've just taken the one asset and you've walked away. Because what else are you bringing to the table?
I agree.
Water.
Yeah, well, which we pay for, so that's not even brought to the table.
Yes, George.
May I speak? Has anyone looked into the impacts of removing our fleet, reducing our fleet way down with ISO? Because ISO says for every engine, you need a backup. For every tanker, you need a backup. So if we delete all of our trucks, I think we need to keep 3 trucks, so at least one we can use for a pumper or a tanker in the event that one of the main trucks goes down.
And that was kind of the intent when we went to the fire board, was we need to start having that discussion on what we keep. If we get rid of all 3, great. If we keep one of the 2 tankers, great. If we keep the engine, okay. But we need to start having those discussions, especially when it comes to replacement. One of the tankers that I was looking at is basically it's the same cab as the current truck we have, just with a tanker chassis on the back of it. So then that would be a reserve engine if we needed it for a short period of time. But there's multiple things we could do. But we need to start having that discussion here in the near future.
And keep them all consistent, not have an odd duck.
Well, that's another thing you gotta look at is even though we wanna do certain things, we also have to look at ISO because that affects all of our insurance rates. And we do not wanna impact that
Right,
at all. So
right. The
Just food for thought.
the 24-hour staffing had the largest impact of any on that.
Training does big impact.
And we
All of it
increased, you know, we,
I know, I'm just saying.
yeah, no, it's a trade-off at some, you know.
Cause we get dinged every time because we don't have a ladder truck.
Well, you can have one and you can't staff it, so it's great to know. It's great to throw candy off of.
Or next door.
Well, I think what we have, I mean, another thing we have to keep in mind is, I've asked Andy to pretty much give me a wish list of everything that he needs to put on the capital improvement plan, which we're gonna be discussing at next week's meeting. Because we just took a $1.2 million bond. We have to use this bond. We can't just let it sit there and accrue interest on it. And so, when I was talking to him earlier today, I was like, we are sitting in a good position because we already have a bond secured. And we also have a lot of money sitting in our landfill fund. So I just said, go ahead, get us a quote on a truck. And then that way he's one step ahead when he comes to the territory. If the territory decides, the town and township cannot agree to buy it together, then the township can do it.
Okay.
One thing that I was told today, and I don't know, the DLGF has kind of kicked back the bond to Steve Dalton, and Scott Peck, I think, is working on that. That is a bond that the township took. That has nothing, like the territory is not territory bond. They were not brought to the table to approve that. So when that bond gets paid back, it gets paid back with just the assessed value of the township. So
the short story is the township took out a bond to bail out the fire territory shortcoming.
That would be correct,
Because of
yes.
Senate Bill 1.
Yes.
that would be
That's the-
correct,
That's the
Yes.
short story.
yes.
So if we buy a truck,
If the township buys a truck, that's great.
Absolutely.
If the town wishes to replace the truck that they provide to the territory, whether by lease or by gentleman's agreement or whatever that comes to be, that's great.
Our whole goal when we became a board and, I became trustee, and I sat on the board 2 years prior to that, and I sat on the board, it was the same argument every month. We did not have volunteers. We did not have people showing up. We did not have the proper equipment. We had a township talk, and, even a former trustee said that, there was always issues with the fire department not having enough money, and I will agree. Failure of funding over the years has hurt this fire department. And that was my number one goal when I became trustee, was that I was gonna work as hard as I could to get the funding needed to make this community safe and have the fire protection that it needed. Yes, have we gotten rid of the ambulance service? Yes, we did. Did we want
We didn't
to?
do that
No,
on
we
did
our
not want
choice.
to. We would have done that. We
Yeah.
would have brought that ambulance under. We had the funding to bring that ambulance service under us. Unfortunately, that divorce with North Township and Union Township did not go as planned. They took everything. That is actually, and I can bring everyone up to speed on that. We went to court down at Marshall County. When we walked out of the court, they actually offered to give us back all the equipment if we would drop the lawsuit against them. So after, some discussions, because we use Clint Zollis for the attorney on that, and Marcel helps some, but Clint's wanted to go to court. He just said, just take it. No one wins when you walk into the courtroom. And I'm going to agree, because every time we walk in the courtroom, it's just more dollars, I love you, Marcel, but it's just more dollars to the attorney. And you have a secure win then, you know, at least now we're getting back the equipment. We're being made whole as an ambulance service. Now, that's a whole other discussion, okay? Once we get the ambulance made whole, then we have to have a discussion on how do we fund it and how do we,
Man,
man it, okay? When we took the bond, we took it with, we were going to add the third person. That gives us the security of having 3 people in the station. I think we've done well. Our goal was September 1st, that we would have 3 people in the station at all times. 2 are required in the station at all times. So, I mean, there might be hit and miss, some shifts that don't get covered with that third, but they're usually on a weekend or they're on an evening, and that is when we are relying on our on-call staff. So, I mean, I think we're doing really good.
Absolutely.
I mean, our men are qualified EMTs, and I have said this to the community many times. You are protected. I mean, you do not need the wheels of the ambulance. South Bend men are walking in the door while those patients are still being assessed. And you are getting the best care when South Bend medics pull in, because they can take anything from a priority 1 to a priority 5. And we've had many calls, as you have said, they've been called out as a priority 5 and they have instantly turned to a priority 1. And if you would have been relying on a BLS service at that time, that's life. That's a life and death situation, because now you're calling for South Bend medics, and that's just another delay. And another thing that we could note on that, because I know that there's just been a lot of discussion, is I sit in this office at least 3 times a week. And that tell you how many intercepts Union, North Ambulance, well, not Union North Ambulance anymore, North Township goes through here and uses South Bend medics. So I think when they are out there criticizing us as a township for not providing a BLS transport service, I think they need to look in the mirror and realize that they too are using South Bend medics. And they are a lot further south than what we are. Yes.
personally, I don't think, if they choose to take that truck and sell it, I don't think we should have to lease a truck from them. If they choose to replace it, I don't think the township should have to lease a truck from them.
But we're not leasing
We
it.
don't.
No, I'm just saying, if they would come down to that, the territory should not lease no trucks from them, because that's part of their pie.
Right. That's what they're.
Well, all the
bringing
other
to the table.
trucks are township trucks. I mean, that would be a net loss to the town.
Sure, but
because at the end
they're
of the
saying
day,
there's a
we would-
lease there.
We would lease all the township trucks then too, so it just doesn't make any sense.
Correct. Then we should be charging them lease for our truck.
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
Just,
Yes, because I know it's brought up, well, maybe we'll have to lease. No, I don't, that's totally, I disagree with that, any lease.
Mhm. I think the biggest thing I would love to just say to this community is start coming to meetings. I mean, I feel we have tried to be as transparent as we can. I mean, the joke in here is that we need to get carrier pigeons to just, fly around and notices. I mean, we are trying to get out there. I mean, I just built a whole new website. I mean, we're getting our YouTube videos where it's just mainstream right on there. You don't even have to go look for us. You do not have to go to YouTube and look for us. You just simply go to our website and it is there. Click the link. We want you. I had my door open. I have told the community, please just come in and talk to us. If you have questions, we're doing township talks. I feel these township talks are like the times where the community really gets to come in and it's not on a forum or not on an agenda, and they can just ask anything they want. And we have the time to explain. I mean, the last one we had, I thought was very informative. Again, I think it's just giving back the community the security that although we don't have an ambulance service, you have you have very, very good protection.
How many EMTs were on the previous Lakeville Inc.?
So, that'd be a question, maybe you could help. When it was just a volunteer, Lakeville Inc.
Most of the time there's one,
Just one?
most of the time.
Okay. And how many do we have now?
Pam was under department, we had two.
Yeah.
Other than that.
So when I statistically went for maximum levy last year, I had to break down statistically the calls that we had done over 3 years. And when I broke down, I mean, and I would love to show this to the community, because this is what won the maximum levy. When they denied it the first time,
Right.
I wrote back and said, you are putting our community at risk. We need full-time staff that are EMT qualified. I mean, I had broke it down that I think at that time we had 11 volunteers.
Sounds right.
It was maybe 3 EMTs, 4. And of those 3 or 4, the percentage of calls where we didn't even have an EMT for medicals was greater. There were calls where we had 0 people show. There were calls where we had 1 EMT show. 1 EMT cannot get the job done, okay? You need like 3 people. So that was our goal last year. It was like, we've got to get these monies increased. We got that maximum levy, but then we also saw that, you know what, that's just gonna be a shortfalling. You know, we still have some of our volunteers that, you know, I mean, they're just sitting around thinking that, oh, well, you know, in a year or 2, we'll go back to being volunteers. Shame on this community if they allow that. Because, and it's nothing to disregard our volunteers, because, I mean, we have volunteers that have been on here 30 plus years.
Right.
It's just that they had other jobs. This was not where they were, you know, I mean, they weren't coming here.
Right.
I mean, and as the years have went on, I mean, Andy has said this many times, you have to become EMT certified. What's the percentage of calls that are medicals?
Roughly 85%.
85% that are medicals. And so, you know, and I mean, 2 brothers there. We have Alton, yes, he's a great firefighter, but he does not have an EMT. George is an EMT. Okay, the 2 of them can work together on a medical call, but, you know, I think what a lot of people had was this false sense of security that they saw somebody they knew. Oh, wow, he's been on the department for 30 years, or let's say one of our younger ones that's been on for 15 years. He showed up, but guess what? He can't do nothing for you because he's not an EMT. Per law, he cannot touch you.
Right.
So that's why we've worked so hard, but unfortunately, we take the scrutiny of it
Sure.
as a board.
So what's our staff now?
Currently, we have 6 full-time. Right now, 5 are EMTs. 4 are certified EMTs. 1 has completed the class and is getting ready to test. It needs to take class yet. And then all of the part-time staff are EMTs. And I think we're up to 12 part-time.
That's our 3rd person.
Yeah.
So when we have a 3rd person here, they have to be EMT.
Absolutely.
And then I think on the volunteer side, we're at 3 or 4 that are EMTs and a couple EMRs.
Okay.
I think it's great.
But I mean,
Absolutely.
we also have to understand, we won't run out of money, okay? I mean, apparently somebody misunderstood in our fire territory meeting that I said that this is a 3-year fix, and in 3 years, we won't have any more money. That's not true. What I was saying was that the bond is a 3-year fix.
Correct.
The bond is giving us the monies to secure the 3rd person until we can get our tax rates established at a higher rate, because when you take emergency funding, it's going to establish that fund, and then you can always go back for more funding.
And this is to help maintain the equipment as well.
But the writing on the wall, I mean, we might as well just say it. The writing on the wall is that these small townships they're coming. I mean, they're
Yeah.
coming for us because the state of Indiana does not want to fund all the little departments. They
Oh,
want us to go
commissioners.
bigger.
Our commissioners are not helping matters none.
No, I received a letter from one of the commissioners 2 weeks ago. He wants to sit down. He wants to sit with his select few township trustees that he sent the email to. And he wants to discuss having a county-wide fire, not a territory, a district. That means the county runs our fire departments. And I would gladly go to it. I think Ryan might want to go to it. I think you're going to go to it. Because we want to hear. I mean, we want to hear what they have to say. Because honestly, I don't see that as a good level of care.
I've been in IBFA for numerous years, and Shepherd Kernan, that was one of them that we've been fighting for years, and he keeps changing the name of it, and it still keeps coming up and keeps coming up, and that's what it is. It's countywide fire departments, and the state will control it. So,
Have you heard that from the state, that the counties are taking them over? Or have you just heard that we need to go into like territories?
I think the comment is correct, that the state's preference would be that we get rid of the smaller territories and we form larger ones. That can be either the townships all banding together for one mega territory or the county taking over. I don't know if they necessarily care. But they change things. I mean, the new territories being maxed out on what they can levy is pushing towards that too, right? So we'll see. I mean, it goes back and forth.
my question is this, we're kind of different in our county because we have two big cities. If you go to one countywide fire territory, which city's gonna control?
Probably the bigger city.
But I don't think the cities.
I don't either. I'm just saying. I'm just saying, now you gotta,
I think it's a county.
between cities.
Look at when
And it
the dispatch center consolidated, how'd that go?
that's still a mess.
Didn't get better,
No,
and honestly.
no,
didn't get
we still
better.
have trouble.
Well, as I had said in previous meetings, we won't even have to worry about what trucks we have here, because if you go big, they're just gonna say, you know what, you don't run enough calls down there, so you're just gonna get our older truck down there. It's, or they're gonna then take the staff that's comfortable, here and knows, the community knows, and they're gonna say,
Hypothetically, you're stationed here. You could end up having to go here to the state line and work. If they need you up there.
yeah, if they go county.
Sure.
I don't think the county has the wherewithal to manage what they're bitten off already, let alone taking on more. How about that?
I agree, but that's smart.
But I hope we're smart enough to allow it to happen.
Well, you gotta get the others that seem to think it's a great thing. Or some of the others that group up and say, hey, let's fight this here.
I'm a fan of smaller territories. I'm not
Oh,
saying that
I'm
we're gonna continue.
totally with you.
I'm not saying in 5 years, Lakeville Union Fire Territory is gonna exist. It might be part of it. We may join with our neighbors or something. I honestly don't know. But I could see things that make more sense in the south part of the county than to merge with the territory that's in the north part of the county.
Correct. Cause you gotta go around South Bend or Mishawaka.
Or heaven forbid, let the county manage it, because they can't manage what they got going on now. But look at the highway department, be a great example. Look at Amazon out west, and the city of South Bend's dying and shooting each other. They can't get enough workers out on the west side of town for what they got going on. So I think that's very large mismanagement. Great idea, poorly executed.
Okay. Any other comment?
Did you agree? What are we doing with truck replacement? Is he looking for prices?
Yes.
What about the food drive?
Oh, yes, we do have a food drive coming up on October 11th. So anyone that, on the fire department that would like to help, or even anybody from the community that would like to, you know, I don't know what I did with my flyer. But we,
Ryan has it.
Ryan has it, okay, yes, so.
You were handing them out.
Yeah, I put it on, I've been trying to put it like throughout the community. I was able to tag it on to Lakeville Town's Facebook page. They say that in the future that they will put it in the newsletter. So hopefully we'll get in their newsletter because I do know a lot of people.
It's been well received. I've worked the last several of them, helped, and there's a lot of people that come through here. We're kind of getting them trained to come early.
Mhm.
Cause last time I think we were down to like 2 cantaloupes or something.
Yeah.
I mean, it was,
Yeah.
what do you got? And we had like 2 melons and a granola bar or something. We keep, cause, I mean, it was great. I mean, there was a lot of people that came.
Who's in all that, spaghetti sauce we had that one time.
Yeah,
Yeah. And the
yeah.
nice thing
I found
about it
Kids of it.
is like we've had some
Oh, yeah.
overflow. I mean, we do get some overflow and then we do have Lakeville United Methodist. I don't know if they ended up giving some to the Bikers Church this last time, but I mean, we're able to like disperse out to other.
Probably the biggest challenge with the food distribution is an odd assortment of stuff.
Mhm.
It just makes no sense. Spaghetti sauce and granola bars. What do you do? What do you make out of it? I mean, it's just like a case of bananas and cream cheese. I mean, it's just.
But you know, I mean, it's funny because
Weird.
when we first started it, we had so much left, you know,
Yeah.
and then now it's like people are lining up. I mean, before we're even
Mhm.
open, it's like they're lining up because they want to make sure. And then this last time, we had sweet corn and
Mhm.
cantaloupe, and I mean, we ran out, and people were like, "Well, I wanted sweet corn." I'm like, "Oh, we ran out." I'm like, "I can't help it," you know. First come, first
Giving
served.
them
But
half a dozen or so ears of sweet corn, and we thought, gosh, there's plenty in here.
Mhm.
Run out, which is good.
And we don't do it by income. I mean, we just tell everybody, hey,
Yeah,
you wanna
don't
come
know who you
down?
are, how many families he's bringing, and, give you so many deals.
So that's been a good outreach. So,
And I think a lot of the people they enjoy it. I mean, they appreciate it.
So then we're gonna have you look and see his pricing and stuff like that. So,
you can actually bring that to next week's meeting.
Yeah.
For capital improvement.
so where are we with, what are we gonna do with the town's truck? Where are we at with that? Are we just going to say, deal
I
with
think
it?
you'd have to have a territory meeting to have the discussion on when they,
What they wanna do.
what they wanna do.
And if they say they wanna kick it back in, then
They say what?
if they wanna kick the money back in for a new piece of apparatus.
Probably the simplest thing would be to take, if Andy wants to replace the 2 tankers with 1 vehicle, do that. If the town could replace their engine with a new engine, that would be great, to update their engine. That's gonna be 27, 28 years old really before whatever it's replaced with
And
comes.
that's their piece of pie.
And that's what they bring to the territory, is that fire truck, because the town has always had 1 fire truck, sometimes
Correct.
2 over the years. But since the beginning of time, even before the territory was formed, it was basically 2 departments under 1 roof. When the territory was formed, all the equipment that was owned by each entity came in underneath the territory and became maintained by the territory.
How the territory fell apart is the town could not afford to maintain their vehicle and keep the equipment up. The county was carrying them, or the township was carrying them more and more.
Well,
And that's why we became into a territory to,
and that could be a shortcoming, is that piece of equipment that the town brought to the territory needs to be replaced. But hopefully the town can do that.
correct. And if not, well,
All right, any other comments?
Yeah, you need to have the territory meeting because of the simple fact that if you're looking at purchasing a new truck, correct me if I'm wrong, according to the way the statute is written of fire territories, is if you want the town to participate in the purchase of this truck, they have to establish an ordinance to do so. Just like you have to do a resolution so that you can use the assessed valuation of the town
Right.
to purchase the vehicle.
Yes,
If you purchase it,
Without the township burdening 100% of purchase.
yes, but given the dynamics between the town and the township over the last few years since I've been involved, it would be my strong recommendation that the township buys what the township's gonna buy and the town buys what the town's gonna buy, and they just let the territories use them. So that way, when things eventually get dissolved into a bigger territory, there's no fighting over who's got what.
Or,
Because as we've seen, that leads to a lot of ill will that can just be avoided.
Or we would dissolve as a territory, the town will go back to the town, township will go back to township.
Right.
They would still have fire protection. So if they would take their truck and sell it and not purchase nothing,
how would they have fire protection?
they would not have fire protection then.
They would not, the
They would
town would
have
not
to
have
lease.
fire protection.
They would have to hire the fire protection.
I just have a hypothetical question. We're talking big territories. What happens in the event that in 3 years that we are forced to go into a bigger territory? Does the township make their own decision and the town gets to make their own decisions whether they join?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it actually gets a little bit complicated. The town is gonna have to offer fire protection,
Okay.
right? I could be mistaken, I haven't looked at their budget, but I believe the town cannot afford to fund their own fire department. And they cannot form a fire territory by themselves. So they will be invited to join the fire territory that the township joins, but they may or may not be offered a vote on the board.
Okay.
So they can have an observer who comes in, but they don't necessarily get a vote in the new territory.
Or they could try.
But they all-
start their own fire department.
But they are included, and then the larger fire territory would still get the tax levy off the town, and then in return, they would provide fire protection to the town.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just clarifying.
I've read that code so many times over the years.
Does anyone want to tell somebody from the town that I know what I'm saying? Oh.
But there's also a new law saying that the territory dissolves.
That's the problem.
If you form a new territory and you dissolve, you have to have an escape plan,
Yeah.
which would be the equivalent goes back to,
Right.
Correct.
before they didn't have that.
Right.
Now they have that.
And I think that's why the way this territory is set up that way, that each entity replaces what they brought.
Right.
That makes sense.
Get some meetings over.
Okay,
I do.
all right, okay.
Do have one more
Okay.
thing. When we
Got dinner?
built the
Yeah,
fire
no.
station, we spent $85,000 on, to me, a cancer prevention program, and we do not utilize that program. We put a primal vent system in this fire station to get the cancer-causing agents out of the station. We purchased a new truck, and it's been told to the chief numerous times we need a fob for it, and we still have not gotten a fob for that truck.
I don't know who the vendor was we got it from, and with the doors being open most of the summer, it was slid in under the improvement plan. It was kind of where we were going to put the fob in when we purchased some of the upgraded with
But
the
I see
heating.
frivolous spending on stuff that we really don't need, but yet we need that fob. That, to me, is a very vital piece of equipment, because my gear is sitting out there getting cancer fumes put on it on a regular basis, because the hoses aren't being put on when the truck comes in the door.
We can talk offline, because there's a lot of other things that I think we do that we don't mitigate cancer altogether. there were some other things that were done. And I was hoping to get some of that thrown in there when we do the capital improvement, but that is one simple thing we could do. And when we start talking capital improvement, we can throw that in there when we do some of these other improvements.
No, that needs to be a very high priority.
Maybe turkeys.
Okay, I'm gonna let you guys have that side
I'm done.
conversation. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. So the next meeting is on the 16th at 5:30. Do I hear a motion?
Make a motion.
Here's a second.
What you do?
A second.
September 16th is what? You said 5:30?